Welcome to Friday's slice of gaming content, and today I want to bring some unpopular gaming opinions to the table. And when I say unpopular opinions, they are my opinions only. This video is just for fun, so I don't want anybody to get on their high horse and slag me off in the comments or leave a thumbs down just because you don't agree. Let's all get together, let's all talk about those differences in how we feel with some games and some consoles, and let's have fun with it. Please watch the video all the way to the end, guys. I'm gonna cringe as I say some of these. This is a difficult video to make, but we're doing it. Let's take a look. So for me, I want to talk about Doom first, particularly Doom 2 and Doom 64, because for me, those two Doom games were the last truly enjoyable and solid Doom titles in the library. There we go, I said it, but every time I try to pick up Doom 3 and Doom 2016, I don't get those feelings that I want to feel as a gamer. I think Doom and Doom 2 and then on to Doom 64, I'm deliberately missing out Final Doom because I didn't really play that as much. They were huge benchmarks that were created, and it was because of those games that we all became fans of the Doom series, and Doom 2 really solidified my love for the series because the music was immense. It built on everything that Doom did right graphically with the enemies. There were things that were familiar, there were things that were different, so you were drawn to Doom 2 because it was familiar to Doom 1, but then you had this whole new different map system that was just wow. It was just unbelievable. And then I think coming back to Doom 64 in the kind of mid to late 90s really took me back to how I felt when I kind of had that nostalgia with Doom 2. Graphically, it looked very similar. The music and the audio design really kind of touched that nostalgic nerve within me. And I think that was the last classic Doom, which makes me sad in a way, but it also makes me happy to know that they're solidified and cemented in gaming history forever. Now, like I said, Doom 3, for me, it just didn't feel right. It seemed far too claustrophobic for me at times. It seemed very, very dark in its colour palette. I would have preferred things to be maybe a little bit more open. Like the gigantic arenas sometimes you would walk into in Doom 2 and Doom 64, these big open areas with pillars and enemies everywhere. For me, there wasn't enough of that in Doom 3 and in Doom 2016. But hey, as you're watching this video, Doom Eternal should now be out, and I'm praying that we get a more positive and nostalgic experience with that. However, little unpopular opinion here, I wouldn't have bothered even ordering or buying Doom Eternal had it not have been for the Doom 64 pre-order. So that for me sealed the deal because I want to play that on my PS4 and I will definitely be streaming both. So I said it, Doom 2 and Doom 64, big brother, little brother, were the last truly immense Doom games. Okay, my second one, 3D Super Mario games are not as good as the 2D Super Mario games. What does that mean? Mario 64, the Mario Galaxy titles, Super Mario Odyssey for me are not as enjoyable as a kind of game package than saying playing Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World, which is a cracking game. And then obviously we went on with the Wii U experiences with the side-scrolling Super Marios and the Nintendo DS library. I mean, I love picking up a side-scrolling 2D Mario game. It takes me right back to how I felt as a child when I first played Super Mario Brothers on the NES, which I loved and I still love massively today. But I've said it before, Mario 64, I hated Mario 64 when it came out. I couldn't gel with it. I found that I didn't have the spatial awareness as a gamer to be able to cope with Mario in a 3D world. I mean, going from like 2D being able to jump into a Goomba and kill it, to then 3D being trying to jump into a Goomba and completely mistiming the jump, it didn't feel like an enjoyable experience for me. And whilst I've grown to love Mario 64 that little bit more as I've gotten older, I still would much prefer to play, say, Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. So I'm putting it out there, I do believe in my objective heart that Super Mario Odyssey is a technical masterpiece. It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, and it is fun to play. But for me, it's not as beautiful as playing something like Super Mario Bros. 3, or The Lost Levels, you know, sitting down on a game of All-Stars on the Super Nintendo. That for me is where it's at with the Nintendo franchise, the Super Mario franchise. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but remember guys, these are my opinion. We're not here to criticize anybody. Let's have some fun with it. Next up then, I know, mobile gaming. When I say mobile, I mean on our tablets or on our mobile phones. I found mobile gaming boring. Does not appeal to me in the slightest, and I know that it is a huge part of the gaming market, and for people like commuters, you know, for people like families that have kids, mobile gaming definitely serves a purpose within this industry. But for me, again, I just find it really boring, especially the amount of puzzle games that come out. You know, how many kind of iterations of Tetris do we need on a mobile phone, or Crush Candy, or whatever it is that's the latest craze? And sometimes, you know, you get the ads pop up on a YouTube video that says King of Titans, the best top-down fighting game ever on mobile, and I'm like, oh, it just does nothing for me. And maybe that's because I do prefer physical media over digital media when it comes to video games, but can't bear it. I even don't like, I like the physical buttons of a controller as well, you know, and just sitting on my iPhone or my iPad playing Crush Candy or Candy Crush with no buttons. I couldn't think of anything worse. I'd rather sit and watch paint dry. So sorry guys, mobile gaming, it isn't for me. If it's for you, that's fine, totally respect that. If you can try and change my mind on any of these, again, I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Steam libraries. Let's talk about Steam libraries on PCs. There's a couple of things here. I don't like PC gaming bores me compared to console gaming. I think console gaming for me is much better. But I heard a conversation with a couple of people recently, and they were bragging about how big their Steam libraries were. And it just didn't impress me in the slightest. I don't think having a big Steam library necessarily makes you a collector. I kind of like thought about this in a lot of detail, and I thought to myself, if I had a lot of pictures on my phone of different types of Converse, does that make me a shoe collector? No, it doesn't. It makes me a picture collector. And I kind of see that. It's like, you know, I think Steam is over encumbered anyway with this like thousands of stuff, and every time I've been on there I'm just like, wow, where do I look, what do I do, where do I go? So maybe it's a fault of Steam's and its navigation system that makes me dislike it, but I would much rather have 500 PS4 games on my shelf than 500 digital games in my PC and Steam library. I mean, again, to each their own, but don't come at me with like, hey, my Steam library is so big, you know, because I don't care really, like, and just as some of you don't care about how many Super Nintendo games are in my collection, and that is absolutely cool. But come on guys, Steam, is it where it's at or not? Does it need more love? Let me know in the comment section below. Probably gonna get roasted for this one. Shenmue 2 is boring. Wow. Did I really just get that out into the YouTube universe? Yes, I did. And I think it's boring because the first one was so good. It did so many things right in its storytelling, its pacing. It was very slow at times, but it felt like the game needed to be slow. You know, there was this massive sense of exploration. Where do I go now? Who do I speak to? Oh, I've already spoke to this person. What do I do? But when you find out what to do, you know, on the original Shenmue, on the first Shenmue, it was amazing. And I think it blew so many people away at the time when the Sega Dreamcast came out that Shenmue 2 was always going to have big boots to fill. Now, I didn't like the setting of Shenmue 2. I didn't like the kind of city you were in. I didn't like the harbour. I just didn't like the environments because the first game felt very small and isolated. You were in your tiny little hometown, you know, small, narrow little kind of street alleys, and then the kind of little town at the bottom. And I kind of liked that. Shenmue 2 expanded things, not just in terms of its geography, but in terms of its characters, in terms of its missions, and I just found it overwhelming. I didn't think there was as many distinguishable areas, if you like, in Shenmue 2. So let's say, for example, you went up to like one of the temples or one of the shops, and then you had to kind of come back across town to maybe a different shop. Like, I found myself getting like really lost because everything just looked the same, and it was almost like surely there should be a little bit more kind of, or a little less, I guess, kind of carbon copy, cut and paste in different areas. I mean, again, it's a very unpopular opinion, I know, but Shenmue 2 was, for me, was incredibly boring. Atmospherically, I think the story was fantastic, but atmospherically, it made me like lose touch with the story as I the more I played it, really. So there we go. I mean, Shenmue 3, from what I've played, is immense, and the world is so vast and open and kind of airy. You just, oh wow, it just feels immense. Even though it's not an open world game, it has that sense of being open world, does Shenmue 3. Shenmue 2 was just, ooh, I felt suffocated. I didn't like it. Sorry, not sorry. So I think I've harped on enough about some of my unpopular gaming opinions. I'm now going to hand the reins over to you good people, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing what some of your unpopular gaming opinions are in those comments. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, please leave a like, and I'm putting this pledge out to my community right now. If you want to sponsor this channel for £1.99 a month, click the first link in the description. You'll get a mention in every video. You'll see the end slides after with a list of everybody that is a current sponsor. There's additional perks with the different levels, different tiers. There's loads to offer. I'm gonna leave it there, guys. See you on stream this weekend with some Doom Eternal. Fingers crossed for greatness. My name is Gemma. Take care. See you soon.